Hello, good evening, and welcome to Real Impact with me, Nick, NIC, according to Rum, and the amazing Gforceracing20. And this evening we are going to be discussing, what's up, man? We're going to be discussing True Romance. Why I said I don't know. I was swallowing, is the truth. Make of that what you will. And we're going to be discussing that. We're going to be having a little bit of a deep dive. Before I say hello to the comments section, I'm going to turn it over to you, G, and say, how you been, mate? How's your week? How's things?
Doing great. I was forced to take vacation at work this month, so I'm burning up through a lot of vacation and got the rest of the week off. So looking forward to this and starting my weekend right.
Excellent, man. So that's good, man. It's a bit of time off, long weekend. Got to enjoy that. I'm gonna cough. Oh dear, I'm so unprofessional. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to have you on, G, because you said to me for ages you wanted to do this,
Yeah.
And everyone who's ever said they want to do one, I'm getting to you. It's just, it's not necessarily an ordered list. It's just a case of when people are available, man.
Yeah, it's hard
And when
to
I'm
coordinate.
available. Yeah, even harder with you guys across the pond, if I'm honest, because
Folks
the
with
time
kids,
difference.
time zone differences.
Absolutely, but yeah, no, you've picked a cracker of a film. I'll be honest with you. Until this week, I watched it twice this week. Till this week, it had probably been 15, maybe 20 years since I'd seen it, so it was quite nice to dive back into it. It all comes back to you quite rapidly when you're watching it. But
Oh yeah.
the other night, someone was asking me about it. I was like, I don't remember. I need to rewatch it because life has happened and I've been drunk many times since.
I've burned through a lot of brain cells.
Yeah, absolutely. But shall we do that thing where we jump in the comment section and say hello to those in attendance?
Oh, people are watching this?
Yeah, man, people are watching. We got a good
Awesome. Let's
bunch
talk
in
to 'em.
on a school night.
Bravo.
So yeah, the first person in this evening was Keith Knight, Uncle Keith. He says hello. So hello, good to see you, Keith. Always good to have you along, Uncle Keith. We've also been joined by Jojo. She says hiya. She's very casual and cool,
Jojo.
as Jojo. Hiya. You're right, Jojo. How you doing? We've also been joined by some weirdo called Gforceracing20. He says, hey, everyone. Yeah. Kick him. Oi, mod, spanners, get him out. Get him out. The problem is the next person will probably do that. We've been joined by Connor Fuller from Fuller's Figures. He's saying, even y'all.
I got an itch. Hold on.
I'll hold on. Is the itch sufficiently scratched?
Yeah. Got it.
All right, good. Excellent. We've also been joined by another one of our super spanners, Martin, from a long time ago. He says, evening, everyone. Keith, Connor, Jojo, Nick, Gforce, everyone.
We're in.
And we have been joined by, General Jumpy McClunky. He's saying evening to everyone. Good evening, Jumpy. We've also been joined by the one and only Delvian Seek.
What a legend, Delvian.
Yeah, I always say it that way because of live and moderately entertaining. So if you don't understand why, it's me and Monkey Boy, just a couple of pair of idiots. We've also been joined by Gerard Kane, who's saying evening to everyone. There's a bit of a theme there. Everyone's saying evening to everyone. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's kind of the thing.
For y'all.
Emma C has joined us this evening, and So the thing with Emma C is we know that there is the notorious bin story, which you are aware of, right, Gforce?
I've heard the story.
I don't want to go too deep into the story. However, I did make some artwork to commemorate it. Would you like to see it?
Of course.
So this is the artwork.
She's going to kill you.
She's going to absolutely mash me up. One more time in case anyone didn't see. So there's a lot going on in that picture.
I love the tissues.
Well, you know, right, back to professionalism, if that ever existed. We've also been joined by Mr. B. Good to see you, Mr. B. Hey, Mr. B, see behind me, rocking my Star Wars figures and bits that you sent me. Yeah, loving those. Thank you so much, sir. And we've been joined by Ricardo. So that is Ricardo, isn't it? He's changed his name, hasn't he?
Yep. That's his handle on Instagram, I believe.
Ah ha ha. Because, like, yeah, no. So Ricardo, please don't. I know who you are. You're a legend, but you've changed your name, so it's confused me.
Just
a little
don't
bit.
change your avatar.
Yeah, don't. For the love of God, do not change your avatar.
Because we'll not know who the hell you are.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining us. We've been joined by Zombie Hunter as well. We've also been joined by the better half of the Universal Toy Collector, the lovely Georgie. Good to see you, Georgie. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Recently, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was doing like a Muppet. It's not all. It was like a puppet convention. She would explain it much better than me.
Yeah,
but
that's
the
what
other
I
night,
assumed it was, some kind of puppet gathering.
It looks awesome, and me and Carla went to see Mrs. APD went to see the Rocky Horror Show the other night. Yeah. And I WhatsApp Georgie pictures of us because Georgie's a theatrical girl and she knows her Rocky Horror. So I sent pictures of us all done up. Me as Eddie, Carla as Magenta, and we were talking about McDonald's. So that's how exciting our life is. We were sending pictures of our McDonald's. So there you go.
Awesome.
Behind the scenes scoop there. We send pictures of McDonald's. Oh, right. Who else have we got? Aha. The other half of A Long and Long Time Ago, Adam Long. Another great film I haven't seen in such a long time. And I like how you've added long time on that as well, you see. It's very on brand.
Those are very clever. Very clever.
They are trained. So to Still Rum's line, and I'm sure this will infuriate him, give us your best pirate impression, G. It's Pete's Toys and Tings. Saying evening all. Arr.
Top of the evening to you, Pete.
Have we got anyone else in? I'm just having a quick scan through. I haven't actually seen what Emma's said about the chaos of that picture. I'm just looking for her avatar. What she said. I don't know. Emma, show you.
Like this is weekly abuse.
Show your disdain again, Em. Oh! Another person. Coxie's Toy Cantina is here. Good to see you, Coxie. Thank you for coming along. And I don't know if I already said hello to TJC, but TJC, good to see you, dude. I think I actually saw you before, but then I got distracted by embarrassing Emma with the bin thing. So you understand, sir, as you are part of the wind-up. So he's the one who always brings it back up, isn't he? He doesn't let it go. It's like a dog with a bone.
He's got a lot of little slide-in one-liners. He's good for a joke.
We've also been joined by the one and only Tree Theodore. Good to see you, Tree. Thank you for coming along.
What's up, man?
And, somehow he has returned. Pod Racing Palpatine.
What is thy bidding?
He's here. He's here to keep an eye on the proceedings. Oh, and Lady Steph herself. Lady Steph, you did awesome on Monkey Lizard Hangout this Monday. Very comical, very good. And I tell you what, you held your own against him.
Yes.
You did excellent, dude. You did really well there. And I think for now, that is it. If I've missed anyone, please don't be offended and just tell me. Just tell me and I will. And as Connor normally calls me, he calls me a knob when I miss his comments. So just call me a knob and I will happily give you a shout. But if anyone else joins us, we will do that thing. We will do the wavy hello. So it's no secret that this evening we are here to talk about the one, the only True Romance, which is an absolutely epic film. Now, before we get into all the details and everything, and G, as you know, I've got a lot on this evening. I showed you the notes, didn't I?
There are notes.
There's notes. And and the best bit is I do all these notes, and you're lucky if you cover 10% of them.
Right. The time. Where's the time?
The time doesn't allow, so you skim and you jump. But
yep.
So we've introduced you. I'm following my itinerary here. We've introduced you. We've said hello to the crowd. We've told people what we're talking about. True Romance from 1993. We're going to go into all the other nitty-gritty details of it. But my first question to you, G, is when did you first see True Romance? And are there any other personal memories associated with it, or anything that you would like to share?
So, True Romance was a film. I was a 93. I would have been a sophomore, my second year in college. And my girlfriend at the time wanted to go see True Romance. And I was not happy about it because of the title. I didn't know anything about it, never seen a trailer, nothing. And she's like, "Oh, you'll like it. There's tons of good actors in it. All right, let's go." And I loved it. And to this day, if anyone asks me outside of Star Wars, what's your favorite movie? It's always True Romance.
Well, there you go. So outside of Star Wars, this is your next favorite movie.
This is my jam. I love this movie.
So, good memory with a girlfriend and that. So when you first sort of sat down and watched it, because there are, I mean, this was written by Tarantino, directed by Tony Scott. Mm-hmm. We're going to go a bit more into how that came about, but what were your thoughts when you were watching the film in the cinema? Were you taken back by what it was? Was it what you expected?
I didn't really have an expectation going in. Like I said, all I knew was the title and that there were decent actors in it. I'm like, okay, let's go. But so when I was watching it and it started, and I mean the way it starts, you got the Bahama,
that Hans Zimmer Glockenspiel style music.
Yep. And you're just
ding,
like,
ding, ding.
Wait a second, this is piquing my interest now. And I mean, her little monologue into the movie explaining a little bit about where we're going to go just, I think, captivates you and sends you into that imagery in a wintry Detroit, you know?
Oh, the film does start off. The film does starting off in Detroit. How sort of dark, almost depressing it looks, and by the fact you finish up in Hollywood, La La Land, and it's all bright. I mean, the contrast between the start and the finish is something quite remarkable. And as I say, Hans Zimmer, who did the score for this movie, the start with the Glockenspiel music is that ding 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 ding. You know, I can't really mimic it, but it almost sets you, it throws you off a bit because it's very sort of, I don't know, it's very sort of jolly, and you could almost think that this movie was going to be sort of a bit of a lovely sweet tale, rescuing a girl, and then it just goes batshit crazy, mate.
Yeah. And everything just goes haywire.
So,
and that was the best part of it for me, like, just coming into it, you know, and being blind, if you will. I was like, holy this is awesome. Like, when you tell me it was like this.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing, because, you know, watching it again this week, you know, you do, things do come back to you and you sort of remember the feeling of when you watched it. And I think, if I'm honest, the reason I watched it the first time round was because I hadn't long seen Reservoir Dogs, and I just started to venture into the world of Tarantino. And my friend was like, oh, you need to watch this film. You know, he didn't tell me it wasn't directed by Tarantino, but it's a Tarantino flick. Yeah. I very much enjoyed it, and watching it again, I sort of remembered why it resonated with me at the time. I've already said that the movie was directed by Tony Scott, brother of Ridley Scott. So we're going to a few of the facts now as we come down through the conversation. He's sadly no longer with us. He died on the 19th of August. There's words you can't say on that. I nearly said the actual bloody word then. There's words you can't say on YouTube, but he's no longer with us. He was quite poorly with cancer, I read, and he chose not to be here anymore, is what we shall say. But as I say, brother of Ridley Scott, I mean, notable films: The Hunger, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Days of Thunder, Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State, Man on Fire, Unstoppable, to name a few. This guy's got a hell of a back catalogue. He knows what he's doing, or he knew what he was doing. What a director. And interestingly, but before we move on any further from it, I said to you the other night, Gian, just to get your perspective on this, I said, as much as I watch this film, I know it's a Tarantino film. You can tell by the story. You just know. But it's not off in a bad way, but you can definitely tell it's not directed by Tarantino. Would you agree with that? You can feel it, but it's not quite there, is it, in the Tarantino sphere of things? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I think you're right. I think there is a slightly different feeling to the cinematography choices that might have been made by Scott versus Tarantino, but being written by Tarantino, you still have the core story and plot and everything having to go kind of his way. It's just visualized through someone else's eyes, if you will.
I will unmute myself there. I said, yeah, and I think that does make it interesting. And I wouldn't actually change it as much as I'm intrigued to see, as much as a part of me that would be curious to see how Tarantino would have done it. For one, I can tell you that initially the film wasn't a lineal storyline like it is. It was Tarantino. It was mixed up like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. And there's lots of clever people out there. And I believe I've read some people fans have edited it in a way to try and give it that Tarantino feel. I couldn't be bothered to hunt any down and watch it, to be honest with you, because I like it as it is.
Right.
And you can't imitate Tarantino, frankly. So I just while I'm here, just a quick hello to you, Baldo T. Good to see you this evening, sir. And this comment here from MSC, I'm the opposite to Gforce. I was talked into watching it, being told it was a rom-com. That said, I do love it.
That is something I would have done.
Absolutely. Well, I believe the true romance thing. So Quentin Tarantino is very much a comic book guy, loves his comic book stuff. And I haven't got a picture of it, bad me, bad planning. There was a comic called True Romance, whatever, and it was an old-fashioned comic, and it's sort of a play on that. I'm sorry I can't give you any more than that. It's something that's just popped into my brain. Yeah. I will bring up this here, though, so people can see So what you've got here, that the picture on the left is what my DVD case is, and the picture on the right, I'm assuming, is the poster that was out at the time for the cinema or for rentals when it came back to us.
Yeah, I believe that was a rental poster.
So
but it is the same on the back of the DVD, the same picture collage.
And there's some great people in there, and we are going to get into the cast, but obviously you've got Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette, a very young Patricia Arquette, and you're going to have to excuse my pronunciation. I struggle. I'm missing so many teeth now. It's ridiculous. It was hard enough to talk before. But yes, so we've gone into we spoke a bit on Tony Scott, and I just want to, obviously, Quentin Tarantino, he wrote it still heavily involved with this, and I'm going to go into a few more details about it, but notable films of Tarantino: Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill 1 and 2, Django Unchained, Hateful Eye, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Someone please get in touch with me for that one, because I love that film. But yeah, so do you know any of the backstory of how this came about, G? Or it doesn't matter if you don't, but I've got some sort of details here. So, okay, you don't. That's cool. So Tarantino and a friend of his, Craig Hammond, they wrote a film called My Best Friend's Birthday, and it was a low budget film, right? Yeah. And this was in '87. It was filmed in black and white, and they never quite finished it, and a lot of it got lost in a warehouse fire, as to my understanding. But it's kind of a prototype to this, a precursor to True Romance, because it's got a character in it's got a character in it called Clarence, who is an Elvis fanatic.
Okay.
Go figure. And in part of the story, they get a call girl. So sort of a bit of early DNA there from Tarantino.
Not bad.
You can look this up. I believe that what is available of the film still, what still exists, can be found on YouTube. Unfortunately, I didn't get time. There's only so much time in a day to watch it. But as I say, most of the original film was destroyed in a lab fire. So, and the other interesting thing is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but True Romance and Natural Born Killers were originally part of the same script. It was tied in.
Oh, really? That would have
together. Yeah, it's quite long and convoluted as to how it was tied together, and we haven't really got time to go into it. But yeah, it was separated apart. And the famous fact of this is Tarantino actually sold the script for True Romance for $50,000. And his plan with that was to start funding Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs, as we know, went on to be his big, the thing that blew him up. And originally Reservoir Dogs was meant to be a really, really low budget film. Harvey Keitel stepped in, got it a much larger budget, I believe somewhere around the region of $1.5 million. The rest is history, but we're here to discuss True Romance. But it all comes from True Romance is such a stepping stone for Tarantino that it's only right to cover some of these things.
The history for sure.
Yeah, so before I go any further, I'm just going to check to see if there's any other messages. What am I? What messages? Comments? TJC's saying that he had nothing to do with that picture. You had everything to do with that picture, TJC. It was your idea. And we've already had that. That's cool. And Ubaldo saying cast is incredible, incredibly long and fantastic. Yeah, what a fantastic cast. And Connor coming in with Reservoir Dogs was brilliant. Reservoir Dogs is an exceptional film. I absolutely love Reservoir Dogs. But we must, before I ask you my next question, because you're probably sensing a theme now. You've seen enough of these that as I go through, I have questions that I chuck at you to get your perspective. But I'm going to add an extra question in here. There's a lot of debate around this film about the violence in it.
Okay.
Now, when you watch Reservoir Dogs and you see how, let's face it, anything Tarantino touches is pretty violent. So do you think that at the time it was a fair criticism of the film for the violence in it? Because I watched this and I think this is meek and mild compared to modern films and anything else.
Yeah, because
Tarantino wrote,
I mean, as far as the gore factor of like how violent it gets, mostly like other films like that, Natural Born Killers, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, like they're pretty gory. But the thing with this, where I think it got the most flack, is the male on female fight, because he does not hold back on her.
Oh, the Gandolfini scene.
Yeah. So I think that's where it catches the most flack.
Yeah, absolutely. But and not to be disagreeable with you, but maybe it's hard to comment in 2025 when we've seen the things we see. We play the computer games and that we play now. Maybe we're a bit more desensitized now. Right. So I can't look back on Eyes from 93, because in 93 I was watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, mate. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit of a different time.
Yeah, and you're coming off of the 80s into the early 90s, where it was all the PMRC trying to get age restrictions on music and movies, and just everything was being filtered through mom groups or whatever the hell you want to call them, and everything was being scrutinized with these, oh, is it safe for our kids' eyes? So, like, going through the 90s and into the 2000s, and like you say, with some of the Gran Turismo games and stuff like that, or what is it?
Oh, Grand Theft Auto games. Yeah.
And I mean, you do kind of feel people might be desensitized to it more so now than then.
I think so. And I mean, it's interesting to hear you had that in America, because in the UK, there was a lot going on in the 90s. There were some bad things that happened. I'm not going into them. Stories, news, horrible things that happened to victims of crime, but a lot of that and murders and things. But a lot of that was blamed on video nasties, as they used to like to call them. So we had a lot of that in the, and although I was very young at the time, the term video nasty sticks in my, I wouldn't put this in that category, but who knows with the violence, but
Right.
the term sticks in my head very much because I was constantly hearing it on the news as a kid, you know?
Sure.
So it's one of those, isn't it? But before I get into another question, let's chuck a couple of other things in as well. So producers on this movie, Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. So, you know, they're responsible for a lot in Hollywood. Now, interestingly, the budget for this movie was $12.5 million.
Wow.
It took $12.6 million. So it recouped its cost, but it was a commercial failure. And it had quite mixed reviews from critics, but it went on to become, as so many of the greats do, a cult classic. And I suspect by now it has more than made back its money in other
I'm sure.
formats. So, to throw another question there, why? I know it's hard to predict, but what do you reckon it was? Do you think it was mixed messaging? Do you think why? Because I look at it now and I think, how could this film have not been a hit unless people thought it was a romantic film? But then you see Christian Slater at the start in the poster with a gun.
Right. Right. So, like I said when I didn't know the movie, I don't think there was a lot of advertising. And for 12.6 million, or 12 million budget, I don't think you're going to get much advertising after that cast that you just had to pay. Because there's 13 actors and actresses that are all pretty big names in this film. So.
Sorry, just this comment from Connor. To quote Gforce, I've had more violent ooze than true romance. Is he trying to say poos?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's Connor. It's Connor. You shouldn't really read his comments aloud without vetting
He's
them
probably
first.
typing on
I'll
the
go
bus,
for it.
so he's on his phone and fat thumbs with the O instead of the P.
Yeah. Okay. So to go in for another point, looking at it, it's become this cult classic. So why do you think it resonated with the cult audience, the cult following? What do you think what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if you are any kind of action drama movie fan, what's not to like? It's got car chases, it's got guns, drugs, sex. It's got all your boxes checked, and a shit ton of good actors that do a bang up job with it.
Yeah, and the cast is huge, and we will get to the cast. We will get to the cast, but
I know.
I'm going to warn you, I've not gone into all of the cast. There ain't time, mate. There's just not. So I've already said that the music and score was by composer Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I could name films of his he's done, but I'd do a list because on the spot you get forgetful. But this list is ridiculously long. Let's just read a couple. Rain Man, Lion King, Gladiator, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dark Knight, Inception. Do we need to go on? I mean, we could go on. We could go on for quite a long time.
You mentioned Dark Knight. That's all you needed to say.
That's all I needed to say. I knew that. And Inception. I feel Inception needed to be mentioned there
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Great film.
I like Hans Zimmer. He's good.
So I read somewhere online that somebody considered Zimmer's score for this to be quite whimsical and uplifting, and I would agree. I think that's what they went with the Glockenspiel. I know we've already touched on it, but that we have already touched on this, but it still gets me every time. The ding, 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 ding. I can't mimic a Glockenspiel. It's just not going to happen.
But the juxtaposition between the music being upbeat and what you would think romance would be like, maybe, in a musical form, then you have the just gritty backdrop of all the imagery, and I think it works good.
Well, some people will disagree, but when I hear that music, It reminds me of something you'd hear on a TV movie, like a low budget movie, or even something in like a Nickelodeon teenage sort of drama.
They're playing a Jack in the Box or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got it. Bang on, G. Yeah, no, I hadn't come to that comparison, but yeah, that sort of Jack. Yeah.
That plinking sound.
The plinky plonky. I've just got to bring this up here. Pop Race and Pap saying Kung Fu Panda is Zimmer's finest work.
Is it really?
Well, there you go. That one's not on my list, so
I haven't seen Kung Fu Panda, so.
Oh no! And well, while we're talking Kung Fu Panda, just I've remembered something random. Jack Black had a scene in this film, but it was cut. So,
oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did. It was a scene in the cinema. So,
you know, when I was looking up the actors and stuff to get their names and everything, I saw his picture there, and I'm like, he wasn't in the fucking movie.
Yeah, he wasn't. Well, to respond back to you, he was in the fucking movie, but they cut him out. So
he wasn't in the fucking movie. Either way, he went on to do good things.
We've had 3, now 4 fucks. We're doing well. We're doing well. Yeah, rock and roll. And Val Kilmer as Elvis. Right, I'm going to get into this a bit later on.
Yeah.
Yes and no. We will go into that because there's a bit of a story to that. But let's. I did have to question it. How important do you think Zimmer's music was for creating the mood in this movie? But I think we've pretty much we've done that. Should we just get into it?
Let's get into it. Let's hit the deep water.
So, in case anyone hasn't watched this, and if you haven't, spoiler alert, but we are like 32 years after the fact, so I can't really. I'm not going to apologise. Here's my plot summary. And actually, Mrs. APD corrected, made it better for me. So here we go. Clarence Worley from Detroit, a comic book store clerk and Elvis fanatic, falls for Alabama Whitman, a cool girl with a heart of gold. After killing her pimp Drexel, Clarence accidentally steals a suitcase full of cocaine. The couple goes on the run, dreaming of a new life while being pursued by mobsters. I think that sums it up pretty well.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah, my missus made that better for me, and I still butchered it. There you go. There you go. But yeah. So that is the plot of the movie, and it's. Is it fair to say it's a bit cat and mouse, this movie, isn't it? But they're unsuspecting of it. It's quite interesting that they really aren't aware. Before we go any further, I'm going to jump down to the cast. We can come back to this because we're chatting, but I think we do need to get into the cast on this. So obviously we've got
at least name some names.
Let's name some names. Christian Slater playing Clarence Worley. Interestingly, Val Kilmer originally really fought hard for this role, and they wouldn't give it to him.
They didn't give it to him.
They didn't give it to him.
Well,
do you want some notable
Slater
films?
Just come off of Pump Up the Volume, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I've got a list of films of his. Legend of Billie Jean in '85, Heathers '89. Yeah, Pump Up the Volume 1990. Yep. Okay. Check you out with your research, G. Put me to shame.
Movies back in the day, I can't remember them, but
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in '91, the second movie I ever saw at the cinema.
Very cool.
I'm a young and Broken Arrow, Hard Rain, Mr. Robot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm currently watching him in Dexter First Blood at the moment because he's playing Harry.
I did see he was in Dexter now.
I kind of feel I need to do a stream all about that series. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Excuse me, and apologies for not muting. We also had the very young, the very lovely... Put what remaining teeth you have back in, Nick. Patricia Arquette as Alabama Whitman. It couldn't be a harder series of names and words to say for me.
Yeah, those are tough.
Those are tough, and when you've got nothing along here and nothing to press your tongue against, it's difficult. Yeah, so they had her, and they originally wanted Drew Barrymore, but she wasn't available.
And I don't think it would have been the same movie if
No.
Barrymore, she couldn't have
Completely
played that
agree.
role like that. I watched her play Firestarter and some cool roles in her past, but I don't think she could have pulled that off. She's too cutesy, you know?
I must learn to unmute myself. Before we go any further, I'll bring up Connor's comment. I'm trusting because I haven't read it. Christian Slater was a real pin-up actor in the early days, but male audience really took to him too, especially after Robin Hood, and he had so many iconic roles. Yeah. Good comment there, Connor. I like those. I love those comments that really add to it. So, Patricia, let's just call her Pat R.
Patty.
Because I can't keep doing this. I apologize. If you're hearing a lot of mouth noise from me in the summer, I said on streams I had sinus and mouth surgery, and it's not the same. And until I can stump up $6-7 grand to replace what's missing, sorry, I'm going to be a bit slobbery, guys. You'll have to go with it.
On my end.
So yeah, films. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Actually, like my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film.
And she was in the Dawkins video too.
True. Why have I listed True Romance in my list of things? What a knob.
She's in that.
Yeah, she's in that. She was in True Romance. Ed Wood, Flirting with Disaster, Stigmata, Boyhood, The Act, long varied career. Again, we've got to keep motoring. Now, there is an interesting thing about Alabama, right? Very interesting thing. Did you pick up in Reservoir Dogs that she was mentioned?
I don't think I did.
So it's at the table scene, and I believe it's at the beginning. Someone's going to correct me and go, no, it's not, it's this scene. But I've done a lot of research in the last week. But basically, I think the big boss, the one who sat there at the beginning listing through all the names, and he says to one of the characters, oh, how's Alabama doing? And this is the same Alabama.
Oh. See, I may have not picked up on that. I may have thought he was talking about the state.
Yeah, mate, to be honest with you, I've seen Reservoir Dogs loads of times, and
that's cool.
Thank you, whatever it was I read or whatever it was I watched that told me this. So props to you.
Yes.
Another cool thing about this is we're going to call her Alabama because it's easier. Fun. So Alabama, her son at the end of the film when they're on the beach.
Yep.
That's her real son.
Was it? I always wondered about that.
That was her real son. Yeah. I like that. I think that's really cool. And of course, we've got to get into the supporting cast, haven't we? Dennis Hopper, Clifford Worley.
Huge name.
Wow. Huge name. Sadly, no longer with us. What was it? It was over 10 years ago he passed, wasn't it? I should have wrote that down. Yeah. But of course, Easy Rider fame, Apocalypse Now, Blue Velvet, Hosier's, Speed. I love that film. Again, someone get in touch.
One of my favorite.
Yeah, great. Land of the Dead. It goes on so far, but we can't really go into it because we can't. But the scene between him and Christopher Walken, who we're going to go into,
one of the best dialogues in film history, in my opinion.
Yeah. And taking it in the context it's in, Dennis Hopper is so convincing in that scene, and the reactions, whatever you feel about the dialogue or the nature of the dialogue, the interaction between him and Walken and the way Christopher Walken's laughing, and he's so serious because you can see he knows he's screwed. He knows he's screwed.
He already knows, so he's going to get one up in another way.
You know, he's asked for that Chesterfield cigarette. He was already offered earlier.
Yep.
He ain't going to win. He isn't going to win the fight physically, but he's going to go out by offending them. And that's the thing with that dialogue. I don't think it's there to show the character to be this horrible person who's against all these people. I think it was just there to show that he really wanted to offend really upset the people who were going to take his life.
Yeah.
And what way could he do it? And that's the way he did it. And that's how I look at it. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. He was just quoting history. I'm talking facts here. You know, that was a quote from the movie. He just repeated history, and they didn't like what he was saying. So.
No, and today, I mean, Tarantino's always been known to put edgy dialogue in films.
Sure. Yeah,
I can see why people take offense to it, right? I get it.
Yeah.
But the way I look at that scene is what I've said. It's him for right or wrong. It's a man who knows he's going out, and he's going to try and.
He's got seconds left in his life.
Yeah.
So he's going to enjoy his cigarette and just get. He's going
to try and absolutely upset the people who are going to do what they're going to do, regardless.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing with it. Yeah, it's tricky dialogue. We can't go into it, but that's how I've always seen it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's there for what it is.
Right, but as an ex-cop, he has the intellect to know who he's dealing with these mobsters. You know, the Italian mafia. You're not walking out of there.
Well, you can see it, and this is how good Hopper was as an actor. You could see that in that moment, he knows he's not going to give up his son, and I believe I always feel now watching it back again. Welken knows he's not going to give up his son. Yeah. So this is all theatrics now at this point.
Right.
You've got a dad who's not going to sell his son out, a gangster who's got to do what he's got to do. It's that collision course, and I just think the way you can almost see, and I don't know if you agree, but you see in Dennis Hopper's face sort of maybe I'm reading too deeply into it, but you can see an acceptance in his face, I think, that he knows where this is going.
There is a time when he puffs on the cigarette and kind of looks over at it, and he's just like accepting of what's going to happen. And then he goes into his spiel.
So, yeah, and to be fair with you, whilst researching this movie, lots of people have quoted this as one of the real... Not because of the content, but because of how it was delivered and the interaction between actors being one of the best dialogues in cinema because of the emotions that were felt, that were portrayed. Forget the subject matter, the actors right there, what you're seeing between a doomed man and, you know.
Amazing actors from long-standing film wars, you know, just
crazy
going at it.
So, yeah. R.I.P. Dennis Hopper, man. What a guy. Missed greatly. And yes, I do want to do Speed at some point. Someone, please. Love Speed. Excuse me, not muting again. I'm going to go over a couple more comments before we get into the other cast.
All right.
Because we've got some...
folks coming in.
Mrs. S has come in, our Vic. She says, hey, guys, listening, but only just figured out new phone so and how to comment. And she puts, you're so cool, you're so cool, you're so cool. Very appropriate.
Awesome.
Very appropriate. Lady Steph, love Christian Slater and Robin Hood. Yeah, bet you did. You're as shallow as my missus is. But I love it when my missus, she goes, I love that person in that film. Did you love that person in that film? Was it the eye candy? You know, it's like last night my missus was suddenly interested that Joseph Parker, the boxer, is fighting in a couple of weeks. She despises boxing, but she fancies Joe Parker, so she's suddenly
remember
interested.
how that used to go down.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us, Vic. Great to see you. And we've also been joined by another one of our super spanners. Gerard O'Connor says, good evening, freaks. Delighted I managed to join you. Good evening back to you, Gerard, and thank you for being here, man. And we've been joined by Lewis from Reading Movies. Yes. Thank you for joining. A very knowledgeable chap who I really want to get on this channel. I watched this again for the first time in years. Noticed that I don't think Clarence finds out about his father's death, or I missed it. I think you're right. I don't think he does know about his death. No. You're absolutely right, because at no point does he show any emotion to the loss of his father.
There was no point where anyone could have informed him.
No, absolutely.
Because after the whole ending, they're on the beach.
And thank you, Lewis, for pointing this out. That sounds a bit dodgy. You want to do Speed. I would like to do a Real Impact episode on the film known as Speed with Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Dennis Hopper. Oh, dear. No, you're right. It does sound dodgy. That's the thing. That's the thing. So, there we go. Let's jump down. We also have back into the cast Gary Oldman as Drexel. It's Spivey is the surname, which I found online.
Really?
Gary Oldman, man. What can't he do?
Incredible.
What the hell can't that guy do?
I had no idea that was Gary Oldman.
So I'm just going to say something. You're not going to understand this, G, but some of our English viewers will. Anyone who didn't know, Big Mo in EastEnders is his real-life sister. If you didn't know that, I have informed you. Wow. So there you go. An actor in an English long-time soap.
Yep.
So but EastEnders, you will have heard of EastEnders, G, but
and that's Gary Oldman's sister.
Yeah. The lady who plays Big Mo is his real-life sister. I can't remember her name, but yeah. There you go. See, giving you all the facts, man.
Yeah.
So Gary Oldman. Let's just reel through the really long list. Sid and Nancy, JFK, Dracula, Leone, Fifth Element, Harry Potter, Darkest... Right, this list is stupidly long. It's Gary Oldman. The Dark Knight series. Got it in there for you, G.
Thank you.
There you go. What I've got, I believe I've got some. What have I got here? Oh, yes, I have. Let's bring this up. So we've already discussed Dennis Hopper. So there he is there in the midst of the scene we discussed. So Clifford Worley, Christopher Walken, who we're going to go into in a moment, as Vincenzo Cocotti. Sorry, I've butchered that. Gary Oldman there as Drexel, and we will get to Brad Pitt as Floyd. Excellent character in this movie.
Fantastic character.
And there's so much that he added to it. But yeah, Gary Oldman. So apparently the guy who made the wig for Dracula also made this wig for him for this role. And he's got an eye that's damaged, like he's blind in one eye, like the white over eye. Same eyepiece he used apparently in Dracula, one of the eyepieces from that.
What?
Took it with him. So there you go. Likes to recycle.
Must have worked good.
But I mean, what a character in the film. Again, it's hard to go into the dialogue he's got. This is a Tarantino film. It's always, it's a Tarantino script. It's always challenging to go into his dialogue if you want to keep your YouTube channel from being deleted. But it's crazy, man.
Since you've been here, there's a woman with her breastises out on that television. You ain't even bothered to sit down.
Yeah, man. And it's like the bit where he's like, if you and MF would have sat down and had some spring rolls with me, I'd have thought you were kind of chill or whatever. But you're standing there and it's just like, wow, and the way he gets taken out, where the bullet hits, straight in the crown jewels. And because before that scene, of course, we have Val Kilmer in this film, and we'll get it to him. But you've got, we'll just say Elvis for now, going, can you live with that? Can you live with that? About what he's done to your girl. And this is the thing that you're becoming aware of. Like, Clarence is nuts.
Bit outlandish.
And he's loving, he's protective, and he thinks the world of his bride that he's known for days and already married.
Yeah, 2 days.
But, and the whole thing is he just wants to go and get her stuff, which, like she says, you don't have to. And it's the scene when Clarence comes back and she's crying. He's like, well, you don't deserve one of your tears. He doesn't deserve it. And she's crying because she finds it romantic. You're like, no, you're both kooky. You're both nuts. The pair of you. So
it's funny when he comes back too. He's got his fast food. All he wants to do is eat.
This is the best burger I've ever tasted.
Oh, have one of these. You'll forget all about it.
Yeah. just nuts. So yeah, Drexel, what a part.
Drexel. What the fuck?
Hard to discuss some of his dialogue in the film because YouTube,
colorful.
man.
It's colorful.
It is colourful, and we've got to respect YouTube TOS terms of service because I don't want my channel deleted. But yeah, into the big man, Christopher Walken. Oh man, Christopher Walken.
Is there anything you can't do?
Again, another one of the greats, and they're pitted against Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
You know, and it's beyond a cameo because of how long the scene is, but it's such a powerful scene. We've already been into why this scene is powerful, and you know, The Deer Hunter, Kings of New York, Pulp Fiction, Catch Me If You Can, great film, Hairspray, Seven Psychopaths, The Jungle Book, 2016, more. We keep going, yeah. Great actor.
Love him.
We've got to keep flying through these, man. We've got to. Brad Pitt as Floyd, you know.
Stoner extraordinaire to who Michael Rappaport's his roommate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you know, apparently, I mean, Brad Pitt could have had any role in the film he wanted, but he chose Floyd, and he just basically decided, yeah, I'm going to make him a stoner dude like this guy I used to live with, and they just let him go with it, and I'm glad they did. And that scene where the mobsters are there, and he's just like smoking that bowl, and just
bong it. Like, no, okay, so you go down there,
and then you go to the end, and then you turn right, and then
yeah, Beverly Hotel.
We got to keep motoring. James Gandolfini as Virgil, the guy that Alabama absolutely smashes up in the film. The corkscrew on the penknife, the Elvis statue over the head. I mean,
the back of the toilet lid.
What's it? She says to me, "You look pathetic," isn't it, or something like that?
After and then he threw her through glass shower doors.
Yeah,
like this was one of the most violent fight scenes I've seen in a long time.
Oh, hella violent. And this was a breakout for James Gandolfini. And, you know, many say online that this role was responsible for later things he did. And, of course, getting in The Sopranos.
For sure. Yeah.
And then to go into it, and this is the last person from the cast and crew I'm going to hit because it's just, mate, the list is ridiculous long. Val Kilmer as the mentor. He is not listed as Elvis.
Nope.
And you don't see his face in the film. And there's a very good reason for that. It's basically the Presley estate wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow the production to use any Elvis songs. They wouldn't allow the likeness of Elvis to be used. And so because
sneak it in though.
Yeah, they snuck it in with the statue.
In the statue and the Time magazine when the guy was reading it.
Actually, yeah, good spot there. Good spot.
Oh, those fanatics, they freak me out. Yeah. He's one of them.
Yeah. I'd fuck Elvis, I believe, is the just burying my own stream here, but there you go. I wouldn't, but that's what Clarence says.
Right.
You know, loads of films for him. Doors, Top Gun, Batman Forever, lots of films, long established career. But yeah, so that's they didn't feel safe enough to show his face, although he didn't look like him. They just wanted to sort of steer clear from him. Like a Clarence, always have, always will.
Always have.
That's the line, isn't it? Yep. And yeah, what's he in? He's in the film twice, isn't he? Is it twice? I've watched it twice this week, and I'm thinking, how many times is twice? Isn't it?
Scene in the hotel twice, and at Drexel's when he's in the bathroom at Drexel's.
Pre that, yeah. Sorry, my brain, man, my brain. But yeah, the bit where he's talking him up to go and basically kill Drexel, and the bit in the bathroom where he's saying about how well he's doing with the deal and everything, yeah. Because this is a big film to take in. Again, I saw it years ago, but I've watched it twice this week, and I could still have watched it 5 more times and still feel I need to watch it more to break it down. So I'm going to jump back into the comments, G, because this is an interactive stream.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to give some quick mentions.
Please do.
Samuel L. Jackson Michael Rappaport, Chris Penn, Bronson Pinchot, Tom Sizemore. All pretty big names.
Oh, yeah, of course. And Samuel's only in it for literally seconds.
He was in the beginning drug deal, yeah.
So let's go. What else have we got? Gerard, I'm not the sharpest tool in the toolbox, but a spanner I can do.
Good on you, Gerard.
Good on you, man. Good on you. Palp saying Prince of Thieves is a bad movie, so probably upsetting Our Lady, Steph.
Trying to.
Emma saying that would be a different style of show. Oh, that's referring to the speed thing, I am sure.
That would be fun.
Steph being upset by Palps. And Jared saying Dennis Hopper also deserves mad props for his performance in Waterworld. Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
What doesn't he deserve mad props for? He was one of the hella greats, you know. He was there.
Yeah.
We've also been joined by Brian's Action Figure Reviews. Such a fantastic movie. Yes, I completely agree, Brian, and thank you so much for joining us this evening, sir. Good to have you on. The Irish contingent are here. We've also been joined by Only Vader's girl, Arquette.
Hey, Cat.
She's here. Watch your language, guys. She will use that spanner. She'll put you in the doghouse, that's for sure.
She likes that doghouse.
I'm just checking. There's lots of comment. Right, so let's go on what Coxie's saying here. The first scene that screams Tarantino is when they're walking away from the theatre and you get a slow shot of their random convo with the film banner in the background. Oh, where it's listing the Kung Fu films on the thing. Yeah, no, I see that. Yeah, that's sort of... I get it. What's Lewis saying here? I noticed the blonde woman who Clarence dates has been in loads of 90s movies. Yeah, thanks, Lewis, because she popped up and I didn't look into it, but both times I was like, yeah, what's she been in? I know her. You know, when you're like, I know you from somewhere.
I've seen her.
Was she in The Crow? I don't know. Is she the mother in The Crow? I'm not sure. Probably wrong. Probably the one with the heroin addiction. No, it's probably not her. Just another. No. Another great film.
Yeah, that's another favorite of mine.
So we got to get it right. So we've gone through that. We've had some production notes and all that. G, what's your favorite scene of the film or favorite scenes? You're not limited to one.
Let's think for a second. One of my favorite scenes is the roller coaster scene.
Yep.
Roller coaster?
Roller coasters. That was brilliant because he had him sick as a dog. Like, just so many little nuances in that.
But dude, that wasn't fake. The actor was sick as a dog. The actor was very sick.
You know what I mean? Like, he just controlled every little part of his interaction with Bronson Pinchot and got all the information he needed to glean, get the meeting to sell all the stuff they found. So that's a favorite of mine. But it's a tough watch, but I do like the Alabama fight in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just so many good scenes. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite, I think.
Excuse me for coughing. I really must learn to hit the mute button. But I've already said that 5 times tonight and it's not worked. I think one of the scenes I really like in the film, and it's probably not one of the action scenes, but it's the connection of the characters to sound all arty-farty and like I'm really into my films here. But I really like the scene where Alabama is confessing when she's outside of the apartment, you know, with the blanket around her about being a cool girl.
Yep.
I just think there's a lot of power in that scene. Again, I think that's, again, so well acted. And you believe it because, you know, if you hadn't seen the film before, when she walks into the cinema and she spills the popcorn on him, you know she's doing it on purpose.
You know she's a call girl, the way she's dressed.
and I think, to be fair, I think Clarence knows it as well. I think he's a lot more into the picture because But he's so accepting when he's like, well, it's the best night I've ever had, but if it doesn't go on, I've had a hell of a good time. And he's such an upbeat guy. Like,
You
it
don't know
doesn't
how
seem
happy
to...
I was to find out you didn't have a dick. That's what he says.
And sorry, I just got to bring up this from reading movies. Off the top of my head, The Crow. Hey! Bad Boys and Unforgiven, the blonde lady. Nick's brain connected something.
Is he referring to Patricia Arquette as the blonde lady who's...
Hang on.
She wasn't in The Crow.
No, the blonde lady we said from the 90s. Everyone was like, who was she? I was like, who was she?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, you got me then. I was like, hang on, she wasn't in The Crow. What am I saying? I'm making myself look right numpty here. But it happens.
I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same blonde girl.
it's all good, G. Look, I try and act professional, but it never quite happens. But that's it. The scene where they're connecting there is excellent. The scene on the roller coaster is brilliant because the actor who looks sick was genuinely got called back for reshoots and was proper suffering, man. He wasn't doing good from it. And of course, the interaction between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, those two powerhouses.
And the elevator scene's good too. Going up to the hotel
when he pulls the gun on him and
freaks him out again.
That's crazy, man. That scene, and
man.
And the thing is, you think, you think that he's genuinely sussed that because the sting operation in it, because obviously the guy they're trying to sell the coke to has that scene in the car actually is hilarious, where the cool girl hits and the white powder goes all over him and the police, and it's just like, it's a series of unfortunate events, which is pretty much any Tarantino script, to be fair. I don't know, this is a Tony Scott movie, but it's a Tarantino. I think it's forever going to be known as a Tarantino movie. I think so.
But then you got everything coming to a head like a proper movie should in the hotel at the end.
Third act,
the cops, the mob, the innocents, if you will.
That is a fantastic standoff scene. And we've already said the F word in it. It's all the fuck yous, no fuck you, but you just see it's gonna. So you've got the mobsters, you've got the Hollywood producers, like two meathead friends who are just like, clearly this is their hero moment, know. And it's and the cops and the scene. I tell you what, it's a dark scene, but you sort of get it. I'm looking for his name now. Chris Penn, Nicky Dimes, the cop. Sort of. He was in Reservoir Dogs. Nice Guy Eddie. Yeah. I'm forgetting my names now. So many films. But it's the scene where he walks up to that goon, the blonde ponytail one who sat behind the bar. He's like, "Get me an ambulance." And he just
call you a hearse.
Yep. What a scene. And pick for me a scene in the film that isn't powerful in one way or another, because every scene is just as important as the other.
And even how Star Wars loves to do the multiple flip back and forth between scenes, you got 3 epic battles going on in different places. So you have what's going on in the hotel between Patricia Arquette, Alabama, and James Gandolfini, and Clarence is out getting dinner, talking about Elvis to this patron,
on the
double beef chili cheese dogs, and he's just wasting time, happy-go-lucky, and she's getting the tar kicked out of her.
It's such I break Gforce got to see how insanely into detail I go on these tonight.
It's not
And I
that bad. As someone who has OCD themselves, it's not that bad.
breaking the film down into 20 bullet points so that I can reference scenes with quotes. I mean, and I rarely use them. I literally never use those things when I do these shows.
It's easier to be organic with it, I think.
Yeah, but that's what this series is about. It's a chat amongst friends about a film we appreciate. It's not a documentary. I give facts and figures because it supports the show, but
right. And it's great to have those there if you need them.
Yeah, but I've not had anyone on this series yet who I thought, oh shit, I need to go to the notes. They're giving me nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's good.
I don't think I ever will, because everyone is so passionate about the films they want to talk about. So would you put this then? Excuse me, that's what you get for chugging beer. I'm such a great host of a show. Would you put this in with all the other
Tarantino's?
So I believe the Tarantino films are like one big expanded universe, and very much so. Yeah. Now, if this has been by another director, but given the involvement of Tarantino in this, and given things like references in Reservoir Dogs to Alabama, and I know Tarantino didn't direct Natural Born Killers. In fact, I believe he hates the film and how it was done. But yeah, interesting. I know we can go into it in another show, but
we'll have to do that one too.
We can do it. We can do it. Do you consider? Because I'll get you on more than once, G. Do you consider all of Tarantino's scripts to be part of a bigger universe then? Because there's
that's a good question, because they all are kind of, well, I shouldn't say all, but they all have kind of an interwoven dark side of.
Watch Kill Bill and see the guy who gets shot at the beginning of From Dusk Till Dawn at the church murder scene. I mean, not to go into Kill Bill From Dusk Till Dawn, but he even crosses from the more out there sort of crazy monster films, you know?
And I think that's brilliant that you reference your own material. Mm-hmm. Like, why not?
I think we were a bit before the Big Kahuna burger in this film, as that would have been the burger, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Instead of the big double cheese chili beef, whatever he says.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other directors that do it, but the other director who jumps out at me immediately, who creates his own in-universe brands and crossover, is Kevin Smith. Things with like the Nels cigarettes and stuff between all the films and stuff, you know. And Tarantino. So was that a yes? You sort of consider them all part of a
I would say
collective, loosely weaved.
And I'm trying to think, like, with other directors, like because his stuff varies and in subject matter. So like a Stephen King, I'm thinking of, all his stuff is horror, pretty much, So it's easy to say, yes, he's one genre, but that's not really what you're asking me. You're asking me if this whole series ebbs and flows with each other in a cohesive unit. And
there's a reason I'm asking this question. It will become clear. Right. So this leads. We're smashing through this tonight, G. Then I'm going to go to the comments, because I've seen a comment which will then lead into this. It's great when I love it when a plan comes together. All right. 18. But I ask this question on every Real Impact now, since it's evolved into the Real Impact series. How would you feel about a sequel to this movie or a remake to this movie?
A remake I wouldn't want.
Agreed.
I don't even think I'd watch it, because you're not going to get that cast for that money. There's no possible way.
So, not today, man. Not today.
No, not one of them can you get for $12 million, probably.
No, not at all. I think there were probably a lot of favors called in on this movie even then, man.
I think so too. You did have the Weinsteins executive producing, so who knows what kind of money they threw at it. But Um, I guess I don't know.
I don't think it needs. For me, can I tell you where I'm at with it? I know I've asked you the question. I think with a Tarantino film, and the reason I asked the expanded universe question was to lead into my thought on this. I don't believe. I know you've got like Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I
Yep.
do think there will be a Volume 3. I love the Kill Bill films. But I think with Tarantino, because it's this expanded universe, do you ever really truly need a sequel? Because a character can live on in many different
Live on in many
ways.
different ways, right? So I don't. The sequel, I don't think is necessary, and I don't know what you would do. Is it
I
just
would
them at
agree.
home
It
with
would
the
have to be a
kid now?
completely different. It would have to be a completely different threat. It couldn't have anything to do with
With finding drugs under her pimp's bed, you know?
yeah, and pretty much everyone snuffed it in the hotel scene. Who
Right. Who's left? Dick Ritchie.
be,
That's it.
because another thing to it as well is Tarantino argued with Tony Scott. Tony Scott, I mean, he put the film in sort of linear order, and he also Tarantino's original script. Clarence died, so.
Oh.
Yeah, Clarence died. So,
Until it
and he
wasn't.
argued back and forth with Tony Scott. And Tony Scott basically said, I love these kids and I want to see them make it. And that's why I want them to survive. So if I think that, other people will feel the same. They wouldn't like it. And Tarantino has held his hand, and I heard him in an interview saying, I agree. You know, at the time I was like, no, man, you can't do this. He needs to die. And that's the tragedy of the story. And he's like, no, you made the right decision. You made the right decision to let Clarence live.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes those character deaths are real rough on people. Like if they come to love them, or however you want to phrase it, you know, it's hard for them to be like, what? You killed them?
Absolutely. And for me, the beautiful thing is with this is we don't know that Clarence or Annabelle won't ever appear in another scene in another film or won't ever be referenced again.
Right.
We know Clarence is blind in one eye. We know they got away to Mexico. We know they got the money, drove away in the Cadillac, but they had their little boy. We know they're happy, but that's the beautiful thing for me, and that's why I would say we don't need a sequel for this, and we certainly don't need a remake.
And like you said, if down the road they'd make another movie and Alabama and Clarence somehow get mixed in with it, fine.
And the beautiful thing
those
is,
types of cameos. It doesn't have to be forced, you know.
No, and it doesn't need to be. And I always feel with Tarantino, like I think it's El McGraw is the sheriff from Dusk Till Dawn, but he's been in loads of things. Like from Dusk Till Dawn, he gets done in the back of the head by Tarantino in the liquor store scene, and Benny's World of Liquor, isn't it? If I recall.
Benny's World of Liquor, good memory.
Yeah, well, I watched it a few times. That one, more than a few times. But he's in Kill Bill, and I think he's in, oh God, what's the sort of B-type movie that Tarantino got into? Was he in a Machete film or Death Race? I think he was in Death Race, possibly. Machete. I mean, I'm reaching into my brain now, but that's what I like. Even though the character died in one film, he's alive in another film, and because the timeline isn't.
They didn't need to go into a multiverse to do it.
No, they didn't. And there's a lot of poetic license and a lot of acceptance, and he'll bring a character back when the character's needed. So I want to jump into the comments now because there's been a few, and we've got to do that. Sorry, I'm terrible. I always do the do thing. It's not, I don't know how I do that. Mrs. S says, and I'm going to change the wording because mouth issues. I've always liked Amabala. She's still beautiful. I'm watching her in Severance on Apple TV.
She's on Severance.
Mm-hmm.
Saw her not too long ago on one of the daytime talk shows.
She looks great. She looks great, man. She looks great. She still does. But then so does Christian Slater, bastard. In this Dexter thing, he still looks great.
He's like the new Dick Clark, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like aged, but he's still like Carla's still look at Mrs. APD still looking at him like, yeah, I would. You know?
All pass.
Yeah, yeah, I would go on a date with him is what I was meant to say. I didn't complete the sentence.
Good man.
So what's Lewis saying here? If True Romance was remade, it would be a strung out streaming series about 6 1-hour episodes instead of the fast, snappy dialogue and pacey scenes. And I agree, because I think they do what they did From Dusk Till Dawn. They turned that into a TV series, which I thought was absolutely terrible.
I didn't watch it.
Don't worry, mate. I've watched it for you. It's shite. But each to their own. If people enjoyed it, that's entirely fine. I don't judge. And Lewis also goes on to say, I think they all have an interwoven characters. Alabama was mentioned by Mr. White, etc. Yep, that's the one. Thank you very much. What's Brian's in it? Isn't Mr. Blonde supposed to be one of the Vega brothers along with John Travolta's character from Pulp Fiction? Yeah, I think he is. So again, there's that. Vic saying you can't remake perfection.
No.
Connor saying, no, you can't remake perfection. My God, you two like in sync or something. You literally like almost identical comments. But that's how strong people feel about it when you put the idea out there about changing something that doesn't need changing.
Yeah. I don't like sequel type stuff usually anyway. But I mean, there are exceptions to that rule, of course, but very seldom for me does a sequel ever top its predecessor.
There ain't many Empire Strike Backs, put it that way.
That's not one of them.
All right.
Star Wars is the best.
And the thing is, G, I know you think that, and I'm the
arsehole.
I do. Yeah, I know that.
That's where it started. You got to give it the props.
No, absolutely. I've heard you say it before, and I'm a wind-up merchant.
Yeah, but I may have.
But Empire, come on, mate.
I love Empire too. Awesome.
Anyway. We normally do a connection to Star Wars when me and Kat do this. We have there will be a connection in here somewhere, but I can't be bothered. So there's our Star Wars chat for this one.
There you go.
Brian said, I don't think you can do a direct sequel. I agree. What's there to be a direct sequel of unless they go and piss off Mexican cartel?
Yeah,
do you know
maybe
what I mean?
In Cancun they get mixed up with those guys.
And I think we're past the time now. I mean, I think they're still young enough to maybe appear in the background or a scene in another movie, but those characters had their thing. What have we got here? I'm just trying to keep it to the conversation. Tarantino films are like a massive family tree. This is from Jojo, where some films are connected like long lost cousins rather than siblings. I'd agree with that, Joe.
Good point.
And I just want to say, if I've not touched on anyone's comments, I read them all and I always appreciate them. It's just trying to keep it in the stop me going off on one of my million tangents, because I do. As you
I'm
well
good
know.
for that too. I'm good for planting the seed to get people off on tangents.
Yeah. And Palps said death proof, and I think he's answering my question. About El McGrath. So thanks, Palps. And if he's not, I look a numpty. Read a movie sends Jojo. That's a good analogy for Tarantino movies. Cousins rather than siblings. I do like that, Jojo.
I do too.
That's good. I wanted to get Jojo on this series, but she won't come on. So.
Oh. Camera shot.
She just doesn't want to. So
That's fine.
I respect it. I just annoy her. I just annoy her in real life when I see her.
Good.
What's Vic saying? We all would. We've seen him in the phone booth. Oi. All right, calm down.
Hey.
Oi. See, Martin, Star Wars, not A New Hope. Well, it's not A New Hope, it's Star Wars. Anyway, before we get into that debacle. Thank you very much. So, yeah, is there anything else you wanted to discuss before we get into sort of starting to wrap this up? Because we nearly an hour and a half, mate.
I'm trying to think
quick.
If there's a scene that we really didn't talk about that needs to at least have some light shed on it, but I don't think there is.
There's, I mean,
Phone
that's
booth
with all
scene?
films.
I mean, since Mrs. S mentioned it, he
Say,
calls
say
Chick
again.
Risky. The phone
I
booth scene.
phone booth scene. Oh,
He
the
calls his
phone booth scene.
friend.
Yeah. I mean, that's just word porn, though, isn't it? G. I mean,
Yeah. But then from that, they go and meet Dick and Floyd. So that was a pretty good interaction
I'm
too.
glad I didn't just say what came into my head then.
Yep. I heard it when it came out of my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, there's so we never go over any film on Real Impact scene for scene. I mean, I think in some of the earlier episodes I got a bit like I was basically talking for it scene for scene because you get a bit panicky, but then the conversation we've touched on all the major ones. There's loads in this film. There's loads of incredible scenes, loads of incredible acting, but we have done the beginning, the middle, and the end.
I don't think we've missed any of the big major ones. But
no, I mean, we're still on for a couple of minutes, chat. Soulcraft of one of the quotes from Gary Oldman. That was the thing. And the only reason I'm not reading out Soulcraft is just because YouTube terms of service, and you just don't know today. But no, and that's why Gary Oldman's character. Again, we've already spoke about him. He was so brilliant in it, so to go back to another fact, Tarantino based him on a guy that he'd sort of had
interactions with.
Yeah. And then apparently Gary Oldman then based it again on someone he had interactions with. So characters like that exist. I mean...
Oh, yeah. There are some shady people out there.
And the things. So... It's again, yeah, I think we've covered all the major scenes. I really do think we have.
There is the part when they bust him with the coke and they're in the precinct and they're talking to the chief. Oh, we got him. They're so excited. And the way they tell that story.
It's like they're rookies, isn't it? It's like they've not had a bust before.
They've never had a collar in their life.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a pretty cool scene where he gets up and he's like, "Can I go now? I'm no longer part of this anymore."
Why would you say that in that room?
Dumbass moment, like look around, like what are you thinking?
One of them's gonna kill you because you pissed off three of them.
But just to say to Soulcraft, thank you for joining us this evening. And before I forget, if anyone in the chat, if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed and you like, please could you subscribe, because I'll be doing lots more of these. But also, can you chuck a like on the video, because YouTube's my stuff's not getting pushed out that much at the moment. So if you could chuck a like on it, that'd be massively appreciated. If you like it,
interaction helps push videos. Put a comment in there, anything.
A comment in the main comment, anything, man. I mean, I don't like to be seen to be begging for this stuff, but I want people to see the stuff, you know.
It's really simple and it doesn't really hurt you, unless like it's a knob, you know, like that you don't want coming up in your feed all the time. Maybe that's why they don't like my shit.
Yeah. Well, like, comment, subscribe. I'm subscribed to
that's why I only have 700 subs.
that's more than me, man. There's more than me. But no,
I don't care about subs at all.
I don't. Do you know what? I do this because of the people who join us every episode. But if you could stick a like on it, it would be great, because if we can grow the community, that'd be great.
We see all of our followers in the chats of all these live streams. We know who's there for this group.
We do. But if we can grow our little community and bring in more awesome people
too, for sure.
Yeah. Cross-pollination, man, other communities. Let's get it going, man. So yeah, let me jump down to my final part, because I'm getting waffly again. I do that. Have you noticed, G? I'm waffling, G. I'm waffling. It helps if I click on the right document as well. So final question.
Believe it.
No, go on, say it.
No, I was gonna make a stupid joke about that Christmas song that says we went a wassailing.
Okay.
But no.
It would have been like a tumbleweed with me, mate. It would have been wasted on me. So, final question.
Yes, sir.
I think I've asked this already. Why do you think this movie still resonates with people today? I think we've already covered it in previous questions, but I'm going to ask it because I've got it.
I think it just shows a different side of life that not many people get to visit often. Like dealing in the drug and mafia worlds, you don't. Yes, it's been hammered to death in cinema and TV and everything like that. But the way they did it with two minimum wage kids, as they said in the movie, you know, just trying to get by. They see an opportunity. They're trying to
200 grand to them is the
200
world.
grand is the world. It starts you on the right path. And you can go from there and live a good life and get out of the streets of Detroit. And so I think it's that kind of uplifting story behind the movie that resonates.
Tommy used to work on the docks.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it's the hard life upbringing. You know, you ain't got shit. You see an opportunity, you hit it, boom, you're back in the goods.
And that's the thing. I would agree. I think it's what does resonate. It's a violent story, but you root for them the whole way through, and they're not greedy either. No. Nuts. I don't know if that's the technical term. They're nuts. The pair of them are nuts. Crazy. But they're not gonna. But they would never hurt anyone who didn't try and hurt them as well.
Right.
Good moral kids. God damn, she does taste like a peach. You know, and they
was a call girl for exactly what, 1 day?
I think it was 4 days. She'd have 3 clients
4 days
already.
Had 3 clients. Yeah.
So you've got 2 kids, and they are kids in it with nothing to them. They're not massively greedy. They just want to start in life, and they end up with this situation, and they look at a way that they can get it, and it just goes the whole way through. They're out of their depth, but they come through it, and
it's crazy. Dang, you got that playing basketball?
She got that busted up lip and that smashed up eyeliner. Yeah. What's it? She says I got elbowed in the face and the ball bounced, and it's like
the ball right in my face.
Okay, so one of those
Clarence, what are you doing to her, man?
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
So
I've really enjoyed this one, G. I really have, mate.
I've had a good time.
Well,
I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, and massive thank you to those in the audience, because we can't get to all comments, but we do appreciate you. I do read them. You do make the show what it is. So thank you for coming along again. Except for who? Sorry,
Connor.
Yeah. Well,
it's in my contract. I have to say that.
Yeah. No, you got to say it. It's like Rum has to abuse me. You have to abuse Connor. It's
part of our show. Yeah.
Yes, it's part of the show. So, everyone, you've been amazing. If you could like, comment, subscribe, share. I know I've already said it, but that would be awesome. Going to be back again soon. I believe the next guest is going to be Adam Berry, the real toy dude. His film will be dropped.
Did we discuss what his film was yet? I don't know if you had said it's not what you think it is.
All right,
so sorry, like the guessing game.
Right, Gforce, what do you think it's? I'm going to let it out now because it's going out in the next day or so. So I'm going to let out what the film is.
If I venture to guess for Adam Berry, I would say Dirty Dancing.
Damn you for getting it right.
He's got the poster up behind him.
He has. It's not Top Gear. So me and Adam Berry are going to be returning with, and like guys, go with it, man, because I've got 4 sisters. Movie. I've seen Dirty Dance. I can quote that. That's one of the films where someone suggests it and I go, do you know what? I can get away without watching this one if needs be, because I've seen it that many times.
I've seen Grease for the same reasons 8,000
Exactly.
times. You know,
All those
had
sisters.
sisters
Oh
and
man.
cousins. Oh,
If anyone want, so we are going to be coming back, unless it changes. It's subject to change, and maybe someone else will, unless your diaries don't line up. But me and Adam Berry are going to be doing Dirty Dancing. I let the cat out of the bag now because it's going to be out of the bag very shortly,
yeah.
and it may entice some of you to come along.
I'll be there.
Great film. Yeah, and then I think I'm not going to let Steph's film out of the bag yet, but me and Lady Steph are doing a film. Unmute yourself, G.
As I hit mute, I start talking. Does it have French words in it for Lady Steph's movie?
No.
No, she's gonna be mad.
No, it's a great film. Look, we got lots coming up. February is a bit of an awkward month for me because every Saturday this month I've got a gig or a show to go to. It doesn't happen often, but I've got a life for once. It happens about one month a year. So yeah, well, this Saturday I'm off to see Bowling for Soup. Last Saturday I saw Rocky Horror.
I thought you were playing a show.
Oh no! Those days are long gone. The Saturday after, it's the boxing. It just goes on and on and on.
Oh yeah, you're all jazzed up about the boxing.
Yeah, man. So, but you guys have all been great. Look, thank you for joining Real Impact. G, if you got anything coming up you want to promote or plug, your channel will be linked in the video description. If I haven't done it already, I probably have. But please do follow, subscribe to G if you don't already. He's awesome. I've got to say that. It's in the contract.
Now, Lego studs is about all I'm doing lately. So every Sunday on Rum's channel. I haven't been doing videos and not feeling
Little monkey lizard boy.
But we'll get back into it soon enough. Just on a little hiatus right now. So
it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah. Right, guys. Chat, you've been excellent. G, you've been excellent. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for the outro video, which I should have been queuing up while I've been waffling. But you know what? I haven't done that, have I?
Why would you do it like that? That's
so
proactive.
I'm going to say, G, do the awkward wave, and I'm going to play the catch you all on the next one, guys. And thank you for joining us. See you on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.